Hey, what's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken, and welcome back to another video. Today, I want to have a bit of a discussion about my favorite character in Deadlock, and that is, of course, Viscous, because honestly, he's felt super, super rough in the recent patch, for me anyways, and I want to talk about maybe why that is, and get some thoughts from you guys in the community as to how Viscous is feeling right now, what can maybe be done to improve him, or if maybe I'm wrong and I'm missing something, and Viscous is actually super strong right now. Because, well, for those of you who don't know, I am AndrewChicken. I play a lot of Viscous. He is my favorite character, and as far as my skill rating is concerned, I have been bouncing in and out of low Oracle for a while, at least when it comes to this new update with the item shop, just because I've been testing a lot of builds. Some of them have been really good, some of them have been really bad, as you can tell by my win rate here. It's been a little hectic. But yeah, I'm not exactly an Eternus player, nor am I a terrible freaking Ritualist player or something like that. I'm just kind of generally barely above average, is I suppose what you would consider Oracle 1 to Archon 5 type of region. And Viscous is a character that I've played pretty much since the beginning, and he's gotten me up to the rank that I currently am at. But in the recent patch with the new item shop and the changes that they've done since then to nerf some of the items and some of the characters, my win rate has just gone in the toilet. Like, okay, we have one win here, one loss here, but then we go back here and uh-oh. And I've tried a bunch of different builds with Viscous, too. Bunch of different archetypes, and nothing seems to be working. And I want to talk about some of the things that just feel really bad about Viscous now. Because I want to see, A, if anyone in my comments can help me understand what I might be doing wrong here, and B, just, yeah, I just want to talk about what I'm trying to do with my builds in general, and why a lot of things seem to be going against Viscous's favor right now. So first of all, let's talk about the support Viscous playstyle, because I think support Viscous definitely has a lot of potential to be good, especially at higher ranks than where I currently am. But trying to solo queue with support Viscous just feels awful at the rank I'm currently at. These first 3 losses in a row here are all support Viscous games, and it just feels like a dead playstyle when you queue for support Viscous and you end up having more damage than a damage hero on your team and more eliminations than them too. And also fewer deaths than everyone else on your team. That just feels somewhat miserable. But also, another thing that really hurts support Viscous right now is this freaking newfangled capacitor item, which is an item that a lot of gun builds go for, especially Haze, Wraith, characters like that love building Tesla bullets to farm into Capacitor. And Capacitor launches a projectile that deals damage and removes all non-ultimate buffs. And this will remove the cube, too. So if you go into the cube as Viscous, Wraith can just be like, nuh-uh, use Capacitor on you, no more cube, and then you just die. And the same is true for any allies that you happen to put the cube on. And I feel like with how prevalent this item is right now, it definitely hurts Viscous just as a whole. It obviously hurts support Viscous a lot because that's the most cube-based playstyle. But even when you're playing other Viscous builds, you just look for a brief refuge in the cube, and then you just get capacitored out of it. And previously, there was nothing in the game that could take you out of the cube in such a way, so it's really jarring, and honestly, it doesn't feel super good. And on top of that, I don't think they've fixed this bug, but there's currently a bug where Shiv, who is currently one of the strongest heroes in the entire game, is allowed to ult you through your cube. So if you happen to be playing against Shiv, you just have a really bad matchup, and you're not able to cube to save yourself or allies from the ultimate, which just feels utterly miserable. Last I heard, they haven't fixed that, so yeah, that also just feels really bad. Next, I want to talk about punch builds, because this is another aspect where Viscous has gotten weaker and weaker as the patch has gone on, because they've nerfed quite a few things about melee, and honestly, it's understandable why they would do this, because characters like Abrams are ridiculously strong, but it kind of indirectly nerfs Viscous, who's another character who likes to punch with his puddle punches, but, you know, nerfing these items then nerfs that playstyle. So, like, Crushing Fists lost some damage, I know, and I believe also Life Strike got nerfed, if I remember correctly off the top of my head, but also they just did a global melee nerf, where your melee scaling as you level up is just weaker. So now I'm doing significantly less puddle punch damage when I'm at higher levels than I was, you know, at the start of the item shop rework. And also, puddle punches are notoriously pretty easy to parry if you actually are paying attention and looking out for them. which I know is going to plague me if I continue to try and play Viscous up to the higher ranks, because people will only get better and better at parrying those. And then, of course, we also have the new parry items, such as Rebuttal, which, you know, if I try and punch this person, and then they parry it, I'm going to take the damage instead, which just feels really bad. I guess technically Counterspell doesn't, you know, affect the Puddle Punch, because, you know, it's just an ability you could already parry in general. But that playstyle feels really just not as good as it did before. Especially because they also got rid of heavy melee canceling. That was another thing I really like to use on the Viscous, and yeah, that's just gone now. Now, as far as Goo Ball Viscous is concerned, it's actually pretty solid, I suppose, in a lot of ways, especially thanks to this new Scourge item. It's pretty funny. You can cast Scourge, cast your ultimate, and then you just get this huge damage aura as you go in with your Goo Ball. So that's pretty funny. But there's also another not-so-funny new item known as armor-piercing rounds, which, again, for gun builds is just utterly stupid on Viscous, because, yeah, there's a 60% chance to just completely ignore the damage reduction of the Goo Ball entirely if you're playing someone like Wraith or Haze, and the Goo Ball also makes you way easier to hit. You have, I think, the biggest hero hitbox in the game when you're using this ability, so you just get absolutely lit up by that. And on top of that, I feel like bullet resist shred is just generally a little more prevalent because you have items like weakening headshot, although admittedly you can't apply that on the Goo Ball, you have to apply it to Viscous beforehand. But also you have Hollow Point now giving minus bullet resist, and so that just also doesn't feel very good. You know, if someone gets armor-piercing rounds with the Goo Ball, you basically just don't have any damage reduction anymore, and you just have to cope, seethe, and mauled, I guess. But also another thing that hurts the Goo Ball playstyle and the Goo Splatter playstyle is the fact that they've also really been clamping down on Spirit builds recently. They've added a ton of Spirit damage reduction. They actually swapped a lot of abilities from Bullet to Spirit reduction, like Fury Trance, that now has 40% Spirit resist. Frenzy is now 30% Spirit resist. Freaking Siphon Bullets got buffed for some reason. It now gives Spirit Resist instead of Bullet Resist, on top of the fact that it's just generally crazy now. So, yeah, there's just a lot more Spirit Resist in the game. Also, stuff like Spellbreaker, a new item, really hurts you if you're trying to do a big burst of damage. Only takes 150 damage to proc it, and you get 75% Spirit damage reduction. That's absolutely bananas. What are we doing here? And, yeah, that also really hurts these playstyles, because Goo Ball is based on doing burst damage. Obviously, your damage from your Scourge and your Torment Pulse is going to bypass that a little bit, but the same is true for your Goo Splatter. It's another burst ability, and so Spellbreaker is going to counter that, and Spirit Reduction as a whole counters Spirit damage, period. And they also did nerf the Spirit scaling of both the Splatter and Goo Ball in the global Spirit scaling nerf. So I just feel like we're moving more and more towards a gun meta, where gun builds are really strong. There's less sources of bullet resist now, and gun items are really strong. Gun damage scaling is crazy. You have siphon bullets and stuff like that. And so that leads you to ask, okay, maybe Viscous can play with a gun build, but why would you ever play Viscous gun build over Wraith gun build, Haze gun build, any actual proper gun character in the game? It just doesn't really make sense to do that to me. So, Splatter, I guess, really just is hurt by the Spirit scaling. Cube gets removed by Capacitor, and also is bugged to not be good against Shivbolt. Punch keeps getting nerfed and also parry exists. And then Goo Ball, well, hey, guess what? Armor-piercing rounds exists. There's more bullet shred in the game now. And, yeah, also, again, Spirit damage reduction is everywhere and ridiculously strong. And El Bozo, you don't get to really have fun on Viscous anymore. It's kind of what I'm really feeling this patch. And so it makes me sad because I love Viscous. I think he's an incredibly designed character, but he just feels underwhelming to me. And I'm wanting to know if anyone else is feeling the same way, and I'm wanting to know if anyone else has, like, tips to try and help me get out of this rut with Viscous, if there's some really strong playstyle that I'm overlooking, or some item combination that I'm not aware of. Another item, by the way, that got nerfed for Viscous is Express Shot. I guess I should bring that up while I'm also complaining about Viscous, because this is an item that actually is really solid on Viscous. It allows you to fire 2 alt fires back to back for a big burst of damage. And, yeah, they just nerfed that this patch to have significantly less of an alt-fire weapon damage bonus. Previously it was 150, then it got nerfed to 125, now it's down to just 75. And I believe this was mostly nerfed for characters like Shiv and Paradox, and again, Viscous just got kind of caught with a stray here because, you know, he also likes to build this for his alt fire. But he's not nearly as strong as Shiv or Paradox with the Kinetic Carbine build using Express Shot. And so, you know, that also just kind of hurts Viscous. I feel like, you know, even though Viscous isn't getting directly nerfed in any way, shape, or form with these updates, the indirect nerfs from the item changes, the global melee reductions, the global spirit reductions, all of that has just made him feel worse to play than before the item store rework. And lastly, just as one extra aside, this is really hard to quantify, but for me, it just feels like the map is a little bit less designed around Viscous wanting to do cool rollouts and also have good opportunities to trap people in for some Goo Ball tomfoolery. I felt like it was a bit easier to hit Goo Balls on people and consistently get value out of that. On earlier versions of the map, especially the 4-lane map. I felt it made a bit more sense to do that. And maybe that's just nostalgia and inexperience speaking, because, you know, when I was playing on the 4-lane map, I was a lot worse with the game. I was back down in Ritualist, and so maybe that's part of it too. One thing that's objectively true, though, is that these bridges are a little worse for Viscous, because there previously used to be a rollout where you could, like, puddle punch off of this and dodge roll and then just go flying in any direction. But this bridge just sucks for that. As you can see, even though this is a sloped surface, it doesn't actually, you know, make the puddle punch go on the slope, and then also there's just no railing to do the rollout from. So you kind of have to jimmy it like this. You kind of have to, like, put the thing on this, like this, and then just go like that. It's a lot clunkier, and it's not like that on the other bridge. On the other bridge, instead, the railings are a little bit too high, and so it's just really difficult to dodge roll off them at all. Which also kind of sucks. Let me see if I can demonstrate that here. Yeah, you just kind of like trip and then I don't feel like I'm going as far. So it just, I don't really feel like these bridges are designed with Viscous in mind anymore. And at the very least, I kind of don't really understand why they have to be asymmetrical like this when so many other parts of the map around here are somewhat symmetric, although I guess with a building like this, it's not quite. So, yeah, I don't know. It just feels a little bit weird, and it doesn't feel as satisfying to me to do rollouts now as it did previously on other iterations of the map. But anyways, I'd love to hear your thoughts about Viscous in the comments section. This is really meant to be a discussion video. I want to hear from you. I want to hear, you know, if you agree or if you disagree. I want to hear any tips that you might have to play Viscous in this new meta, because clearly something's not working for me, and so I want to still enjoy my favorite character in the game. I'm having a little bit of trouble doing that right now, and anything that you can comment to help with that would be greatly appreciated. But trying to freaking solo queue with Viscous right now, up in Archon, just, I don't know, man. It's not feeling nearly as satisfying as so many other characters that I've been playing recently, like Wraith or Lady Geist or Shiv or anyone who's, you know, actually really freaking strong right now. So, yeah, just thought I would kind of talk about that, rant about that, and yeah, I mean, just a different style of video today. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, make sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe, because I'll have a bunch more build testing for you here on the channel. There's still a lot of characters that I haven't actually covered yet, and so we're going to get back to it. With all that being said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time. Peace out.